G'day guys, welcome to another video. Sorry for the setting here. I am in my wife's parents' basement on holiday, but we need to get a video out because the All Blacks have just dropped their 44-man team for the South African tour. Three debutants, which is super exciting. So let's have a look. So we know that the squad wasn't really going to change a hell of a lot. A lot of the players that played in the Nations Championship were healthy and were going to be selected. So there's only really 10 spots available, which were all sort of which we all kind of knew anyway. And everyone had a stab at picking their 10. I've got to be honest, a lot of teams that I saw people put out there had these guys missing off. There's a few actual genuine bolters in there, which I'm just stoked for. So let's just have a look at the omissions first. So there's no Fainga'anuku or Scott Barrett and Tamaiti Williams. So we thought Fainga'anuku might be healthy enough to make the trip. He's not. But Scott Barrett and Tamaiti Williams have been ruled out for quite a while. I think Scott Barrett's out for the season, and Tamaiti, maybe he features at the end of the year. But let's start off with the forwards anyway. So we've got Ollie Norris, George Bell, and Siale Lawaki as the front row replacements that have been called in. Ollie Norris and George Bell, I think, were fairly easy options, right? I think everyone sort of had them jotted into their team list as being added to the squad. Norris was obviously unlucky to miss out on Nations Championship, and Bell, I think he's comfortably the next man up when it comes to hooker. So those two making it are no surprise, but we do have a bolter in there with Siale Lawaki. Now, I did do a video last week about him, and as I mentioned, he's got a massive future ahead in the international game, in my opinion. Obviously, his size and strength and physicality have been huge. I mentioned about his physicality on both sides of the ball, his dominant carries and his dominant tackles were right up there, if not better than a lot of the props around New Zealand. But the one thing I didn't mention was that he's actually traditionally a tight head prop, and he switched. So that makes him super versatile and super valuable to this team. So he switched, I think, for the Canes because he saw, how crowded the tight head position was at the Canes with Lomax and Tossie. So he switched to the loose head side. So I mean, yeah, that's just another tick in the column of how valuable he is and how valuable he will be, and how good is it just throwing him into the fire. He's not probably going to get any game time against South Africa, but just being over there in that hostile environment against some big South African club teams who will still have big packs, and just going to be a hell of an experience to start your career, and something that he's going to be able to take with him for the rest of his life. Alrighty, so moving into the Lucies, we have Smisi Tuputailoa, which is the worst kept secret in New Zealand. The news was out about him last week, and when you see something like that, it's kind of fairly obvious that that guy is going to make the team. Multiple people were reporting that he was firming to be the bolter. Just a weapon, isn't he? Monster Lucy, who really hard to contain, and just adds that physicality, like in the tackle, ball carrying. I think he's put down as 113 kilos, but someone in my comments last week was saying he was playing about 130. So I don't know, but he is a monster, and he is going to cause a lot of problems for. Let's hope he gets in there against the South Africans. But it's the start of something special with this guy, I reckon. Right, the other Lucy who made the team, Blackadder. Now this one's interesting. Obviously, he's been in the team before. He's just had so many injuries, and I quite actually like the selection. Before, probably a few years ago, I was sort of against having Blackadder in the team only because he had so many injuries, and I didn't like the fact that he was constantly in and out of the team or teams that he played for, right? And if you were to call him into the All Blacks and he was to get injured and then, and then get fit again and play a few games and then get injured again, there's just a lack of cohesiveness, isn't there? Like, you can't build combinations, and it's just unreliability, basically, isn't it? And you hard to build a team around someone that's that unreliable. So like I didn't really like it. Um, and it seems I don't believe that he is a genuine threat to that like Jacobson 7 jersey just yet. I don't believe that Blackadder coming on the tour is means that he's going to be a potential player to make the 23. I don't think he is, but if he had a decent season for Crusaders, he stayed relatively healthy. If his injury troubles are behind him and he can get back to what we know because he is very similar to Jacobson in my opinion. Like he provides the same sort of impact. I definitely could see a battle between the two in the future. Maybe not in South Africa, but in the future, if his injury troubles are behind him, I could really see him and Jacobson battling it out for that 7 jersey. So I really do like the inclusion, only because I think he's just going to be sort of like a squad player, and that's fine. But if he was genuinely our only option as a 7, I would not probably be for that. Right, the last player in the forwards is obviously Fabian Holland, who is getting a reprieve. Not a reprieve, but he's finally recovered from that shoulder injury. He played on the weekend for Otago, got about 40 minutes, came through that unscathed. So I guess he is fit, or at least yeah, he's fit and he's getting back to match fitness. But that was a no-brainer, really. Jamie Hanna was the other guy. If they'd taken two locks, or if Fabian Holland had been injured, you'd probably see Jamie Hanna in there. So he's a bit unlucky, but definitely one for the future, isn't he? Righty, so let's have a look at the back. So we have Tavatava Nawai in there. It made sense, taking another 12 with the inclusion of Rico and Narawa, which we're going to get to later. And even Carter, for that matter, they can all cover the 13 position. So you didn't really need another guy that could cover that 13. You could actually look at taking a specialised 12. And Tavatava Nawai, I'm not sure. I mean, he's not going to bother Geordie Barrett or Quinn Tupaia for that 12 jersey. And I say Quinn Tupaia because if Geordie's injured, Quinn 100% is going to take that 12 jersey. But Tavatava Nawai just, he provides something totally different. Just destructive ball running, and his ability to pinch the ball, in the midfield. Like yeah, just his ability to just stop backline attacks in their tracks by making a tackle and getting over the ball. Um, Point of difference, something different. As I said, I don't think he's going to challenge for a 23 role or get anywhere close to Geordie Barrett, but it's a nice option to have in there, and it's nice to give him some more time in the All Blacks and see what he can really do. Josh Jackham is, in my opinion, the biggest bolter. Um, he is a big old bolter, this one. No one was really mentioning him. Like Josh Jacobs always been in the conversation, right? When you talk about future tens, and everyone's always said, "Oh, Josh Jacobs, get him in there, get him in there, get him in there." But I really didn't think they would go for him this early. For one, I didn't think they'd take another 10 because they've got the old Moanga trump card up their sleeve, don't they? So I genuinely thought they wouldn't take another 10 and they'd just rely on like any injury. They're going to call up Mwanga, but they've taken Josh Jackham, which I love. Like, I mean, he could have taken Taha Kemera, he could have taken Rivers Rayhana if he really wanted to. I would have been happy just to get a young 10 in there to say, like, we're not like this whole Mwanga thing and having Bowden Barrett there. And you just feel like this entire World Cup cycle is all about getting Mwanga back. It's nice to see Rennie just saying, you know what, like we're going to need some tens after Moanga. And yes, we have Ruben Love, but we need more. So it's nice to see him calling up a young fella like Josh Jacobs. So I really, really like that. Hopefully he gets a shot in the midweek games because as Rennie just alluded to in his press conference, Bowden Barrett will have the first game at 10. And yeah, I imagine he gets a fair few of them, to be honest. Alrighty, Rico Ioane has made it back as well. There's no real need to talk about that. I think that was a given. He plays centre, although Rennie did say he is looking at him as like a wing cover, but he obviously his versatility makes him super handy. Another one, Narawa. It's super nice to see him getting back into the team. He's always been there or thereabouts as one of the best wingers in New Zealand. Got his chance again last year. Came and played against the Box at Eden Park and got injured after about 5 minutes, which was really, really sad because he totally deserves to be there. And, it's just nice to see him getting back and hopefully he gets some good game time. But he's another one that can play 13. So just, yeah, blessed with, with plenty of versatility in that team to cover that 13 jersey. One of the biggest storylines here, though, guys, is it's not necessarily who's been selected, but who hasn't. And the big one for me is Hotham. Um, you know, it's really, really interesting because it tells me that the All Blacks have more ideas around like the 6-2 split. Like he's already said, Rennie's already said that he wants to do a 6-2 or try a 6-2 split on this tour. And I mean, you've got Cortez Ratame, obviously Roy Guard, and you've got Cole Preston. You would think you would take another halfback, but with Roy Guard getting 70 plus minutes every test match, and you've got Cortez Ratama and Preston probably duking it out in the midweek games. I don't know. I'm still surprised he didn't take another 9, but Hotham not being there is tough for him. But also, I just feel like in one of these games, or maybe more, he's going to try a 6-2 split, and with Leroy Carter in the team who can play wing, centre, and halfback, I think that's what he's going to try and do. Because if you have a 6-2 split on the bench, you normally carry an extra halfback and an extra 10, right? Or an extra halfback and an extra outside back. I don't think, like we've seen South Africa do 6-2 split before, we've seen other Northern Hemisphere teams try a 6-2 split, but I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't remember any team going a 6-2 split without a halfback on the bench. So to be able to do that and carry a Leroy Carter who can cover 3 positions and then probably carry another outside back who can cover another 2 or 3 positions, it's just like the perfect scenario. So I can see them trying that. And, with Carter in the squad, I mean, he's probably not a great halfback. You look at the drop-off between Roygaard and Cortez Ratama. The drop-off from Cortez Ratama to Leroy Carter is probably even bigger. But if you're only relied on in a 6-2 split because you've got Mr. Roygaard playing 95% of the game time, if he's playing 72, 75 minutes, then, it's not a huge issue. Unless of course he gets injured. But I thought that was really interesting, that omission of Hotham. I genuinely thought he was the second best halfback in New Zealand as well. So that's another one that you have to sort of wonder what's going on there and what's Hotham thinking and where his head's at, because it's an interesting one. The last 2 guys missing, Jamie Hanna and Karifi. Jamie Hanna is just unlucky due to Fabian Holland being fit again. Otherwise, he'd be in, or if they took a second lock, right? But they haven't. And Karifi is, just down to his lack of versatility, I think, the All Blacks getting deeper and deeper in the loosies, especially at 7. Jacobson, they've got, Blackadder's obviously there. You've got Lakai who can play 7, Ardy who can play 7, Segner who can play 7. Like right now, if Jacobson is injured or he's not on the team, Segner will take that 7 role, in my opinion. He looks exactly like Jacobson, I feel, in terms of their build, and I feel like he does the same sort of role. So Karifi, I really struggle to see him back in this 23 on a regular basis. And I'm sorry for all those Karifi fans. I'm one of them, but I just don't see a spot for him in this All Black team really going forward. It's going to be really tough for him. He's just too. His lack of versatility is going to be the downfall, because when you look across all these players that have been selected, okay, apart from the front row, although Siali Lawaki can play both sides of the scrum, Simisi Tuputailoa, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure he's an 8 or a 6. He can probably play both. Blackadder can play 7 or 8 or 6. Fabian Holland's a lock. So Tavatavanawa is your only real specialised player in there, in the backs. Josh Jackham, I think he can play 15. Rico and Narawa, wing and centre. So, specialised positions these days are, while it's great to have them in your 15 or your 20, or it's just you can't have too many of them. But that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts based around the team that's named today. Let me know what you guys think, what you agree with, what you don't, who you would like to have seen instead of someone in here. As I said, I probably would have preferred to see like a guy like Taha Kemera in there over Josh Jacob. I'm not too bothered either way, but nice to see one of them in there. But yeah, like I think there's a few different ways people could have gone. Yeah, be interested to hear your thoughts anyway, guys. I have a video coming out on Wednesday, so watch out for that one. And I'll be getting out some videos in the next few weeks while I'm on holiday. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please, as always, like and subscribe if you enjoyed that. It really helps the channel grow. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.